Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Local Groups BoF. We're going to cover a few different topics here. So part of it is just finding the groups, letting them know that there is a kind of umbrella organization for them, getting them to get in contact with us, and also how to equip groups that would like to get started in, having events, giving out swag, and so on. So toward the beginning, well, actually during DebConf 20 and slightly after, we started on, trying to reach out to groups. We didn't get very far, unfortunately. However, we're going to try and resume this. But the first step, of course, is, finding out where the groups are. So that is a first step. And now we move on to the interesting part, the swag. So the process of equipping local groups with swag kind of overlaps with another project, which is the Booth Kit project. That involves equipping groups who are running Debian-type events or a Debian booth with a kit so that they don't have to reinvent the wheel every time and sort of, separately get banners, get stickers, we can just send them a nice fully formed box of things, which can then make its way around various events as needed. So, similarly, groups that would like to be able to give stickers, shirts, whatever, out to their members can also talk to us about that kind of thing, and we can make a sort of starter kit, which then can be replenished on request if needed. What's next? I think I basically said everything I meant to say on that front.
Yeah, that's on swag and merchandise kind of stuff, which is good. There's probably a lot to discuss there. Something I don't see on the pad is some funding for local events, like the Montreal team, for example. They planned out the next 6 events for the year. And
impressive.
They did it a once-off budget request so that they have enough money to cover their venue, food, other incidentals that might happen. And that's a good thing. We don't have a formal process for that yet, but I just wanted to mention that if another local group wants to do that, they can get in touch with the usual DPL processes and they'll get some funding approved for that. But maybe as part of this group, we should manage it there and have some budget for the locals team and
groups.
Local groups teams. And then that team can manage that kind of budgeting and stuff.
So we're trying to establish means of getting in touch with us. I believe that last year when we had this BoF, the intent was that we have a mailing list for sort of general discussion and just sort of, people to generally approach us, and then an alias when it comes to actual sort of funding requests and requests for items, anything that might involve sensitive data like people's addresses and things like that. So we should establish that at some point.
Maybe also a good point to just by introduction mention why this is important to Debian also, because I think local teams is the way to improve diversity in Debian. We want to get more women into the project. We want to get more people of different color and backgrounds into Debian. The best way to do that is to encourage local meetings and developing local communities. And there's lots of people interested in that out there. It's just we need to find ways to support them more. And traditionally we've been, good and bad on different levels, but mostly non-existent at some point.
Yeah, I think the point is that one of the best ways to implement the universal bit is to sort of encourage the local bit.
Yeah. That means we bring new people into the project of all kinds of, if they start as users, but eventually they'll get more interested. They might end up becoming Debian developers or some form of other contributors. Maybe they'll host a DebConf in the area, but I think local teams is the starting point where we can funnel people into Debian, and that's why I think this is important.
Just want to add a bit on this. As you might have noticed, I'm about to organize a bug squashing party in October, somewhere in southwest Germany, and the bug squashing party actually is, as I said, an expert event. And I sent the announcement to Debian Devil Announce and to the EU events list, and I got at least 3 replies from people who told me, no, we are not Debian developers anyway, we are somehow related, we use it. I'd really like to get in touch with you folks. So what I'm trying to say is there's obviously lots of interest out there to get in touch with the project on whatever level, and support groups are the best way to handle this. I don't know what to write to the person who is willing to travel 500 kilometers. Like, you could find a lot more closer place as well, but still, what I'm trying to say is there is need for local groups.
Of course, the big thing with a lot of local activities, of course, it's been on hold for the last few years. As activity hopefully starts to resume, we would be delighted if people got in touch with us to let us know, because then we can also kind of promote that. And sorry. Yep. Hello.
Yeah, I think that what you just said may very much be the reason why people are reaching out to those events happening again and want to get out to meet people again. And you mentioned also the Debian Events EU mailing list, which was very vibrant in the early 2000s, mostly because of the people running the booths at Linux Talk and all different other events throughout Germany. And we mostly had already such a booth kit available back then. I think the lanyard that you are having right now is also sort of related to that area. The ideas for those came back then, and there's a lot of those information definitely still around. I think Tolima, Ganef, and all these bunch of people were very involved in that. So it should be easy to gather this information back and look it up.
Yeah, I think it's just they've kind of become, well, some of the people doing a lot of the booths back in the early 2000s have become less active, so we need to revive that effort.
Yes.
Just get that going again, because it's
the information is there, and I just wanted
absolutely.
to
We just need to actually
names of people
we just need to actually get it.
We're up to that. Yes.
So you mentioned overlapping with the Bootkit project. Has the Bootkit project still been going on, or
bubbling in the background?
Okay.
But there is a certain amount of overlap just in terms of like equipping people with things, because it seems a bit silly to duplicate effort on that front.
Is that staying a separate project, or do you think that could be part of a local group's effort?
What do you think?
I don't know who's the Bootkit, so you probably know better than me.
It's sort of that kind of falls under the swag umbrella, I think. I think it's sort of adjacent but not necessarily completely overlapping. But they're both things that need to be taken care of.
So how do we turn some of these things into reality so that we
Good
actually
question. I
have
think that's further down on the pad.
a real Bootkit? Do you think there should be some online sprint or I don't know, planning session, or
A planning session would definitely be useful. So, hello.
Hi. Hi. I wrote a question there that because some people can ask for us if it's necessary to have a DD in the local group to ask something, or any group of people can
Not
ask.
necessarily. If they have questions, for example, they can get in touch with us.
I would almost go
yeah.
as far as to say they need zero Debian experience whatsoever. Like, if there's someone who wants to organize, like, I don't know, a women's meetup somewhere in their city to just talk about Debian, even if none of them knows anything about Debian, maybe they can sit together and read the wiki page or try to install Debian and see how it goes and document their experience. As far as I'm concerned, that's good enough to start with. So I think the closer to zero experience we can keep it, the more people we can get in using this.
Yeah, exactly. Keep the entry threshold low because, again, universal.
Can you pass the mic to Poya?
I think those are great ideas. One of the things we should really try to do if there's money involved, I think there should be. I think having the Debian support with some money helps a lot organizing these events. Would be to be sure that they're publicized correctly in the Debian community.
Yeah.
I think it's the same idea for sprints already. When you like hold a sprint and you get some money from Debian, you have to write a report or at least something. And I think showing the community these events happen does a lot of good. I think it shows people that these events can happen, that they're great, and there's people coming in, and it might give the ideas to people to help hold them too. So I think it's a great opportunity we have that if we decide to have a budget and then to have clear rules and the fact that it should be publicized widely to people want to attend. People should know that they can attend, but after the fact also to be sure that you have a report or something that shows that the community happened and see this is a good example of something happening. You could have this in your local town too. Please get in touch, organize everything. I think we should go that way.
Yep, absolutely.
Well, we have talked about it, Debian groups join another free software events, like there is like FOSDEM, there is a lot of events as FOSDEM around the world, but maybe you could put as a goal, we organize something on Debian anniversary, like August 16, to motivate groups to organize something in this date. And maybe for the next year, encourage groups to organize a mini DebConfs around the world. Like we can write this as a goal for all groups, and have something to see for the future. And think, let's organize together in some different dates, sure, but has something to think for the next year. This year is Debian anniversary, and for the next year, organize presence on mini DebConfs in some countries.
Yeah, I mean, there have certainly been sort of local observations of Debian's birthday.
There is a message on IRC from Valhalla about whether a requirement to follow the Debian Code of Conduct for such events has been mentioned. And yes, I think it should be one kind of requirement, but that still should be given in any way. Like the Code of Conduct mostly boils down to be don't be an arse, and even though people, it still keeps the barrier fairly low.
Yeah, I think we all agree on that one. What's next, Nattie?
Oh, I don't know. I was just going to talk about swag.
Go ahead. Let me get the pad up for you again.
So further to the booth kit thing, we would definitely like to avoid duplicating efforts, so we should probably get in touch with the people who did it previously. But that was one thing.
About the booth kit, I'm not on the mic now, but I'm aware of this.
Wait. Voila.
So again, I'm aware there has been such activity in the past. I just don't know whether was it on a mailing list, was it somewhere in the wiki. if somebody knows where it was, please provide the information.
I will try to talk to people and look it up.
So,
I guess if you can't find them, don't block on them. They'll
Yeah.
pop up if they have objections or want
I
to get
mean,
involved.
basically, I think there are. I'm aware of people who have knowledge of this. So, oh, do you still want it?
Keep it.
Keep it until someone else needs it. But we can always get together and hash out the details of what actually needs to go in the kit. So similarly, there was the suggestion that there be sort of several kits that make their way around different events, along the lines of what the video equipment does now. Well, except that's one set of video equipment. Does anyone have any thoughts on that? Mostly it involves just, yeah.
Well, the thing is, we need to be sure that these kits are taken care of properly, because it's a lot of
Yeah.
money, it's often very fragile equipment.
Yeah,
The
I
way it currently
mean,
works, like for Europe, we have a kit, and
Yeah.
Nikolai is taking care of it, but he's also taking care of the whole rest of the video equipment. I think it's a good idea that like teams that have shown that are able to organize events that are successful and that are responsible have like a local kit in their area. But for technical reason, we can't like ship one from Europe to South America.
well,
and back to
obviously,
Japan, these kind of
which
things.
means there should be, for example, even just for Brazil, it would be handy
Yeah.
to have a kit for Brazil, because you can,
And
probably
only,
easier to,
only even for technical reasons. For example, the audio frequency laws, our RF laws make like using a kit in Europe and North America incompatible. So it would be illegal to take a
Oh,
kit
yeah,
from
yeah.
Europe and bring it in the North
I
America.
mean, I
but I
that was
think
all pretty obvious. But
I think this is a long-term goal for very strong local teams that organize a lot of like events that should be publicized, and it's a good idea. But there should be some clear responsibility behind that, and be sure that like
Yeah.
there's tracking, somebody's checking, that we have a list, that we, et cetera, because it's easy.
I mean,
to-
there's also, I guess we should also distinguish between the stuff that's kind of library type stuff like banners and things like that, and then the consumables like stickers. But
Yeah, I guess for expensive stuff like video equipment, a stock list or something like that would be sufficient.
yeah. Sorry. People keep pointing me at things and I can't actually see.
yeah, I split the lists accordingly, like,
Right.
so the banners and posters, they should be sent back, and yes, we should
Yeah,
have
and
an
that's kind of like
inventory.
on a library system.
Yeah.
Oh.
And the other stuff that we just give to them, and please never bring it back, spread it among the folks.
So you think it might be better for them to lend a banner than just to buy one for them? I know they're
well,
quite expensive,
It
but
depends. I mean, things like that kind of thing.
Yeah, that was a thinking.
That's the kind of thing that I think we would want returned, because
I know they're expensive, but they're probably also expensive to ship, aren't they? So
we can find out about that.
yeah, because it
We
might be
can-
that if someone uses them 3 times, it might be the same price as just buying one, and then it becomes cheaper longer term.
we should weigh that up.
Yeah.
It's mostly that I don't think anybody really wants to have one of those in their house all the time.
Yeah, I might.
Yeah, but you're you.
It also might create some responsibility to show up at the next event or taking care of handing it over. So that's why I thought of let's have some, I called it Debian Warehouse, that was a bit an exaggeration. So this is
Probably in practice a garage or a storage unit somewhere.
right that way. So someone would, so they would have to sign up beforehand, like I'll need this in 4 weeks, and they would receive the parcel within it, and they would return it afterwards and don't have to care any longer.
I'm
But
also,
but you're right, if shipping is more expensive than the content, in a way, or after 3 times, it might as well be easier to just have more of those banners. And
shipping is the one factor, the other one is the admin cost. Someone will have to do the admin of doing that shipping as well, which is quite expensive. So maybe we should have some that can be borrowed by a new team who doesn't have much experience, but maybe once you have 2 or 3 events, you can have your own one.
Yeah, basically, I think if somebody would just like to try, because again, not everybody wants to commit to an entire banner.
Yeah.
But again, this is the kind of detail that can be hashed out between BoFs, I think, so that we hopefully have something to tell people next year. Time is it?
11:20, 35 minutes left. Plenty of time. We can hash stuff out now, even if you like. Or
I'd rather do it when I have a bit of when I have a bit more space. So what else is there?
If there's time left, I'd like to focus more on the topics that I have here on the top of the list, like how to boot a local group, what ways are there around to properly promote it so it reaches people. And I have some ideas here. I will try to reboot a local group I ran a few years ago with little success. And I'd like to like to learn a bit more and perhaps share the ideas that I currently have in mind.
I mean, in Brazil and in Montreal, they've booted up local teams quite successfully. So maybe we could hear what they did and what worked for them and what was challenges and what was difficult. And maybe that can also help steer how we should help others to bootstrap.
One thing that works in Montreal is we're having now, we used to have maybe more frequent meetings, but now we decided that 5 a year is about okay. It makes about like once each 2 months. Having a budget helps a lot to be able to rent a room and have a little food, but it's mostly, I think, being consistent. You know, saying each 2 months we're going to have something. We have a local list and a local RFC channel. I send out an email poll, so people reply on the poll and decide what's the best date, and then we meet and using afterwards all the tools to publicize that locally and everything. But I think being consistent is one of the key factors for that, because people know it's going to happen, people expect it, and it creates this recurring event that works pretty well.
Our process for creating a mailing list and setting up an RSC channel in general can be daunting for a newcomer. So it would be nice if there's some kind of mentor available to say, if someone wants to start something locally, they help them file the bugs, create the channels, show them how to get a wiki account, all those basic stuff. So it's the same old Debian onboarding stuff that we kind of struggle with new users in general. But if we can do that for them, then they might help.
Perhaps it would make sense to sort of do a bit of documentation for that. Yeah. In a way that's sort of
local team specific,
easily readable also, for non-native speakers of English, that kind of thing.
So like a checklist with links to further documentation of what you need to set up your local group.
Because occasionally our writing style can be a little opaque, can't it?
So like places to announce it, well, if we say mentioning within Debian, that requires people already look there. So I think about using other resources and, dropping the name, this is this meetup site that is to organize lots of, should I put it, nerd-related events, IT mostly, perhaps other things as well, but that's the part I know.
Aren't they kind of proprietary, though?
I doubt they are really open source. But I'm under the impression that this site is quite well known.
It's a good way to reach out to people. It's maybe not a bad idea. But were you in the previous session in this room? Yes. So there's Mobilizon, which is a free software clone of meetup.com. And we'd like to try that out for Debian. Of course, it doesn't help if there's no users on there. That's the big thing.
I think getting that known is probably the first step.
So maybe once it has some critical mass and lots of users, then that would be a nice platform for creating Debian meetings on and advertising them within our existing big community, once we've grown it to that levels. But in the meantime, maybe
And
posting to Facebook and Meetup
yeah,
and all
and,
these stuff might
sort
be
of-
necessary.
and also sort of prodding, university and college computer science departments, hey, even the engineers maybe, to let them know that, you're not alone using Debian. There are more of us.
Okay.
Join us.
I see the name mentioned in IRC, so
Oh, sorry.
I have something. Mobilizon. I didn't know about that, honestly. So I'll check that out.
Okay, cool.
And yeah. So how far have we got? We've got to the stuff for booths. You had a suggestion for the notepad.
That's highly specific.
Highly
kind
specific,
of
but it's on
swag.
the thing. So
Yeah, it's like we want to create these old school type piece of papers where you can take notes and rip one page off. So it's a bit of a joke inside, like not just dropping the Debian swag on it, but possibly a few bits more. But that's the kind of thing we
Yeah, I
could
mean-
give locals to, in a way, promote Debian a bit.
specific swag ideas are welcome. Possibly within this session, possibly afterwards. Also, there's a thing here for stuff for sale, T-shirts. Actually, how would we approach the sale of T-shirts?
I was just thinking the same thing. What would happen with the money they make from T-shirts? Would
Yeah,
they
so-
make the T-shirts and sell them, or would we ship it to them?
Previously, sales of T-shirts have been very local. For example, for a long time, there were a lot of T-shirts being made and sold in the UK that went to Debian UK, for example. How is it done in Brazil with the Brazilian swag?
Yep. Usually we use the money to make the T-shirts, and then we keep this money with some of us, and we use to do more T-shirts on the future.
So it
Yeah.
plows back into.
Yeah, and sometimes we use the money for some local events, like in Curitiba. I went to Pace to organize an event, and you want to pay for the banners or to pay for some travel for an invited speaker. So basically, the money is used inside in the local community.
Right.
We would like to have to split this amount for like I don't know 10 reais is for Debian, 10 reais is for who is traveling to sell the shirt and something like that. Have some kind of amount for each group involved with the sale of the shirt. It's something that we'd like to do on the future.
I actually have a question for Stuart. Sorry to put you on the spot, but you're organizing DebConf next year. Do you have any local group activities happening or planning to do that, or planning to ramp it up towards DebConf or after DebConf? Because it also seems like a good opportunity to solidify things around DebConf.
Yeah, so how, like we have a Debian India group, but it's like in how we function in India, it's like we don't have events, like we tend to have it all free, all people who are in free software tend to organize all events.
Yeah.
And like when Debian specific events comes, even non-Debian users like Arch people are in forefront organizing this event. So it's like, it's like a mixture. And yeah, so that's how our Debian India thing works. And we do have plans for mini DebConfs in like coming months, for mini DebConfs, DebUtsavs, for the coming months to reach out to people and like getting more volunteers for DebConf. Yeah.
That's kind of the situation with the local team here in Kosovo too. They're like serial conference organizers. It's like what they love to do. So maybe reaching out to other conferences and conference organizers is also a good way to get them involved in Debian.
We don't usually do a lot of conferences, but we do a lot of smaller events, like visiting colleges and since most of the activities we are involved in, like Praveen and I, we travel a lot and we go to whichever colleges we go to, we end up doing Debian packaging sessions.
Yeah.
So whatever event it is, we end up having a Debian event in addition to that.
Yeah.
So that's how we have. We don't usually we do have Debian specific events, when Debian releases happen. We have Kerala is a small state with 14 districts. When Debian releases, we have 20 release parties in that within 1 week or something. So Debian specific events do happen. But most of the time, it's whenever there is a free software event, we do have something Debian specific happening around that. And there are a lot of people specific into Debian, and there are people who use other Linux based distros, but they are also into contributing to Debian. The volunteers the core team we have for DebConf, I won't say all are Debian users, but they are dedicated to organizing DebConf. They are hardcore Arch Linux people, they are Fedora people. They're we will organize DebConf.
They're friends. They're friends. That's
so
fine.
they're free software people. They are
good interdisciplinary relations.
Every free software events, everyone keeps happening, and Debian tends to be the most common, most frequented event.
Okay. Maybe on that note, it's a good idea to list somewhere on the local groups pages what types of events are good to host, like packaging sessions, how to install Debian, just having tea and talking about Debian, all kinds of these things. So if someone is interested, then it gives them some inspiration on what type of events they can host. Because it seems like you cover quite a wide different...
Yes, we used to have a lot of, when that, I don't remember, there was a virus in Windows thing happened a few years back, some ransomware in Windows happened. We had Debian install fest throughout Kerala, every district, every place we had, every opportunity we get, we have some Debian event.
Wow.
So it's so it's not we specifically do that, but we end up promoting Debian some way or the other, and we get more people to Debian.
Nice.
Anyway, he said...
Yeah, he also, I think he got started contributing through that install fest, I think.
I basically was an Arch user. I was one of the guys he told earlier, using Arch and contributing.
He was the one who was responsible for Mini DebConf Cochin. He was one of the main organizers of Mini DebConf Cochin, and he's an Arch user. So.
You know it because he tells you.
I just kind of organized most of the things in the Mini DebConf Kochi that happened somewhere. We call it Dabutsav.
Yeah, so...
Dabutsav.
See if anyone said anything on IRC.
Let's check IRC.
Since I have Mike, I'll just add one more thing. I wanted to add it that earlier, but I missed it. I don't know any of you attended the outreach team BoF. And that outreach team BoF, we were planning to revamp or include have more events and more activities other than just the GSOC and outreachy. Maybe some Debian specific mentoring projects. And in that one point came we could have some face-to-face events in collaboration with local groups. Not every mentoring can happen over mentoring can happen over online, but it's better if you have someone in front, if like just maybe one session, if you find someone and talk to someone, that makes a difference.
Yeah.
So like that's something I wanted to have like in collaboration with local groups. So once that
very
is
good
in a
idea.
better position, like better, have a better plan, I'll like come, like we'll collaborate on that.
So if I understand correctly, it's like having a friend at Debian that you can go talk to and ask, or?
No, so it's kind of a formal program.
Okay. So it's from
when-
an outreach team side.
Yeah, from outreach team side, but we need help from the local groups to reach out to local public, local students.
Of course,
I
having a
have
friend in
some
Debian is also a good
suggestion,
idea.
I have some suggestion, since not everybody can make to DebConf events like this, so it's better to promote people to organize mini DebConf similar to the main DebConf, so that people can come and work together and learn more about Debian. Yeah, so yeah, it's better to promote more events like mini DebConfs, organized like DebConf for 2-3 days or something like that.
Yeah. I'd even encourage them to start smaller than a mini DebConf, just like a one-day event, because then you don't have to maybe worry so much about food or accommodation or travel and all that kind of stuff, which really is.
I mean,
the
just
worst part.
even casual get-togethers. Just socializing with people who are interested in Debian, that's plenty to start with.
And socializing might not even be everyone's thing, but
Yeah,
there's
but
lots
just-
of good
oh,
free.
meeting.
There's lots of good free documentaries out there. So maybe even organizing a movie night where you watch
Yeah.
a free software documentary together and eat some cake. Or
Indeed, because
whatever.
we've had film showings at DebConf before, so actually.
And they were quite popular, so it could work. We could have a list of films that are good.
Okay, I'm using a very broad definition of socializing here, so if you know.
That's maybe as much socializing as some people can handle, watching a movie together.
Socializing can be defined very broadly. I mean,
In Brazil, we have a challenge that is we have a lot of users in Brazil, what is really good, but we are trying to do that. These users started to contribute to Debian too with packaging or something not so technical as translation, because we like that people are using Debian, but we are trying to invite them to contribute to Debian and make a real contribution. And local communities are working with that. For instance, the local group in Brasilia City is the capital of the Brazil. They are doing tutorials for packaging using Jitsi, and they started to do that last year, and they are having good things from that. That is making people really contribute to Debian on local group. They are using Jitsi, but it's online, so anybody can join and join these tutorials, and they help you with packaging.
Yeah, John Sublime also mentions on RC that organizing online fast gaming events can help build communities. And we have the Debian Games team playing games, I think, on Friday nights at the moment. They sometimes choose a game and play. I haven't paid attention there much lately, but maybe they could also help local teams get bootstrapped with that, and maybe they can do a LAN party or.
because I think games in Debian is still somewhat underpublicized.
Yeah.
However,
Yeah, it would be a pure social event, but those are also good. It gets people to get to
Well,
know each other,
absolutely.
and while they're together, they'll talk about organizing bigger stuff. So,
I think that's the biggest thing, just getting people to know each other.
yeah. 5 minutes left. If there's more comments or questions, now's the time to raise it, or wait until the next meeting.
And of course, I should probably add, we are available. We have an IRC channel, #Debian-local groups, I believe. Probably best to just check that actually is the channel.
Debian local groups. Yep.
Yep, that's the thing. We should probably start again with having regular meetings where we talk about the state of what's happening there. We had that for a while, but people have been very busy. However, that should resume. So come see us.
I think Mozilla and all have something like a student community in colleges and something like that. Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't quite catch that.
Yeah, Mozilla and some other open source community of student communities in colleges. So can we create something like that, or it's more work?
Student communities?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think it's a good idea to reach out to students.
Yep.
I mean, because that's a very local level indeed. Sort of, people in one department, very local. People in multiple departments. It's already an interdepartment effort. So.
Well, hello asks, should a date be planned right now for the next meeting? Probably makes sense.
Yes. Sometime after DebConf. I think that's probably something to hash out. We've previously done this with polls to check people's availability. Of course, the big challenge there is if you're working with people from a wide variety of time zones, is finding the time zone that works for.
Will you take the task of putting out together a poll for the next meeting and organizing the next meeting?
I can try. I usually do. I'll work together with somebody for that.
Okay.
Of course, it is challenging. Yes, thank you. Because what works for India, a civilized time in India will sort of be ridiculously early morning in Brazil, for example, and a civilized time in Brazil will be in the middle of the night in India. So. We tried alternating, it was challenging. However, I'm sure we can reach some sort of... We can schedule this somehow.
Also, people don't always live in the time zone they live in.
Yes. Which makes it extra challenging. Time zones. Oppression from the man, I tell you. Huh?
Rhonda
Right,
says
abolished-
everyone should have their own time zone, I think.
Oh, I certainly do. Abolish time zones. No, hang on. But yes, just to make people aware we are available, we do have an IRC channel. We would be absolutely delighted if people joined us there and talked to us about things that they're trying to do locally.
Yeah. If you're watching the stream online or watching the recording afterwards, join #Debian local groups. Say
Don't
hello,
forget the,
introduce yourself, the hyphen. And yeah, you can take it from there.
Yeah, we'd be glad to meet you. Is that a lot? Is that it?
I guess so. There's 2 minutes left, but if no one has anything else, then we can wrap up.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Thank you for coming.